Hey friends, welcome back to Brianna's Bookshelf. So we passed one full week of September, and though it is still a little bit warm outside, I've seen some cloudy days coming. The rain has been hitting here in Washington, and so I am feeling very ready for fall. And so today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I'm looking forward to in fall. I'm going to be talking about books I want to read this fall and perfumes that I'm excited to wear this fall. So if you're interested in just books, we'll talk about that first. If you want to hear about perfumes, stick around or fast forward to the end and I will chat a little bit about that as well, since that's been one of my newer hobbies. The first book I want to get to this fall is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. And I don't know a ton about this. I do know this is dark academia. Of course, you can just tell by the cover, I feel like. And it is a YA. I don't read a ton of YA, but I had heard good things about this and I found this for a good price at Half Price Books last year. So I figured I might as well try it. And I believe it's sapphic, I think. I don't know for sure. But I thought I had heard that for some reason. And I think there's like secret society and like academia and research, and of course there's going to be an element of danger. You know, I just eat dark academia up pretty much every time, even though it has been done over and over at this point. What can I say? It gets me every time. Then I really want to read also Eileen by Ottessa Moshfegh. I'm a fan of Ottessa Moshfegh. I haven't read that many of her books. I think I've only read 2. But Lapvona is like a favorite for me, so that really puts her in a higher category for me. I have heard mixed things, or I guess pretty like lukewarm things about Eileen, but I am interested anyway. I think the cover's really cool, has like a very dark night vibe. It sounds like typical kind of dream-like stream of consciousness type of writing that Ottessa has. And I think that in this we have a woman who becomes obsessed with another woman, and I think there's some sort of crime involved. And that's all I know. It sounds like it would be a good read for potentially early fall. I don't think it's like a horror, so it's not super spooky or anything, but kind of settling into that slightly strange and macabre atmosphere. So I think I want to read this at some point this month. Then we have Jawbone by Ojeda, and I've heard wonderful things about this, and it sounds like a very bizarre horror, which usually I enjoy, especially when it has sort of more of a female perspective, which I believe this does. So I think this is following a group of girls or just children at school, and they are kind of in this friend group that is a little bit weird and twisted. They're into some strange things the other kids aren't into. And I know one part of it that people talk about is that these children like make up their own religion. And that sounds like just super strange to me. And I feel like I need to know more about that. Or like they make up their own god. And that just sounds really creepy, honestly. And like something that would be really fun to read about. And that can get quite strange. So we'll find out. Hopefully this is going to be a good one. Then I have The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. This is my Evernight edition, special edition with the sprayed edges, and I love her. She's so cute. I thought I was going to get to this summer because it felt like a good time to read. Like this would be a good summerween book, but I never got around to it, so I'm definitely still hoping to read it for fall. And the main premise of this book is that a group of friends go camping in the woods and they find a staircase that leads into the air. And if you have been on the internet for a while, if you have ever been into creepypastas or like the weird side of the internet, you've probably heard of the staircase in the woods thing. That was definitely like a creepypasta theme back in the day. And so that really intrigued me. I feel like this could have some fun nostalgia and go in a really weird direction, and I'm so here for it. I cannot wait to find out what happens, where the staircase leads. Now we're going to move into some sequels. So I really want to continue the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerri Maniscalco, and the next book for me in that series is Escaping from Houdini. And I am super excited about this because I've read the first 2 books so far in this series, and both times I've read them in the fall, and it's just the perfect season for it. It's like young adult, dark, crime with a little bit of romance basically. So in the first book we're following Audrey Rose, and she is the niece of someone who is an autopsy technician, and she wants to learn that trade. So she is trying to study under her uncle, and she meets Thomas Cresswell, a young man who's also studying under her uncle, and they get entwined into this chase to find out who Jack the Ripper is and try to stop him. And then the second book was also phenomenal, and that book was kind of themed around the tale of Dracula and someone trying to emulate kind of Dracula-esque type crimes. And then in this third book, I don't know much really. I haven't even read the synopsis. I just know it has to do with Houdini. I'm pretty sure in this book they're going to America. You can see like there's a ship on the front. They were in England before. And I'm just obsessed with this dynamic. Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell are adorable and hilarious, and they make me smile so much, bring me so much joy, make me laugh. And this has like a cute little young adult spooky vibe to it as well. So if you're looking for something like kind of cozy, kind of spooky and fun, I cannot recommend this series enough. I am just loving it and can't wait to continue this fall. Then I finally have Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, which is the second book in this series by Heather Fawcett. And I absolutely loved the first book, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I thought it was so cute, such like a fun fairy tale vibe. And in the first book, we're following Emily Wilde, who is a professor who studies fairies and who is trying to write the first ever comprehensive encyclopedia on their species and different types. And so in that book, she goes to a place to study a specific type of fairies that live on this like cold island. And she has some trouble while she's there, and her academic rival, Wendell, ends up showing up and kind of getting in her way, but they kind of end up working together a little bit as well. There's some romance in here, or in the series, but it's not spicy. It's like just very lighthearted and wholesome, I would say. But the characters are adorable, and I really like this world and kind of the academic aspect to the fairies. So in the second book, all I know is that we are probably going to a different place and studying other fairies. That's my assumption. I think this one has more of a fall focus, just based on the cover here. We've got like the mushrooms, the orange leaves, the pine cones. So I think this will be perfect for the season and bring some whimsy into my life. Then going in a super different direction, I really want to read City of Souls and Sinners by Kayla Edwards. And this is the second book in the House of Devils series. I read the first book earlier this year and absolutely fell in love with it and had to immediately order the whole series because I was so obsessed. And this is dark fantasy romance. You can tell she's a chunky gal, but it's so worth it. Oh, and this is urban fantasy romance. I don't know if I mentioned that. So like dark urban. And in the first book, we are following Lorraine. And Lorraine is a human, and of course she lives in a world where there's all these different magical beings. And so she's kind of at a disadvantage, but luckily she has some friends who are witches. And in this world, there are like these magical bounty hunters. And in the beginning of the first book, Lorraine's friend gets basically stolen off the street by one of these bounty hunters, and Lorraine ends up finding out that it was meant to be her who was taken, and she doesn't know why this is because she's just a human. She shouldn't, like, no one should be wanting to take her or have any interest in her in this world, and she wants to rescue her friends. So she ends up meeting Darian Castle, who is the head of one of these Dark Slayer bounty hunter groups. And he's, of course, big and tough and scary. And they end up making kind of an agreement to work on this together for like mutual beneficial reasons. And we like slowly follow them searching for her friend, uncovering secrets in the city, their relationship starting to form. And I love Loren and Darian. Specifically, Darian is like an amazing book boyfriend, and Loren is just so sweet. I want to protect her at all costs. And I love this world so much. It's super fun and fast paced, and I don't really even know what's going to happen in the second book because we covered so much in the first one, but I'm down for the ride to find out what happens next. Now, I also have some rereads that I really want to get to this fall. For me personally, fall is one of my favorite reading months, or reading seasons, if not my all-time favorite reading season. I just love like the spooky and cozy aspects of it. And it also feels really nostalgic, so it feels like the perfect time to do some rereads. Now, starting off with one that I have not read in a really long time, I have The Wind in the Willows, which is by Kenneth Grahame. And I haven't read this since I was in high school. I think this was on like an optional reading list for like summer reading one year, and I chose this because it looked really cute and I did really like it, I remember. Yeah, at the time I'm pretty sure I really enjoyed this, and I don't know why I haven't read it again because it's so small, but I'm really excited to hopefully get into it this season. This is a children's classic, and it is following Rat and Mole, who you can see here on the cover. So two little woodland creatures, and they have like other animal friends. There is, I think, Toad and Badger as well. And I honestly don't remember a ton about what happens, but I think there's like a lot of different like kind of more adult themes in this book. Like there's like social themes and political themes. So I think this will be interesting to read again now that I'm a little older and have read more, and I might be able to pick up on those themes a little bit better. But I also think that it just has a really cozy atmosphere, and I love books that are from the perspective of woodland creatures. I mean, how could I not? So I'd really love to get to this one. Then another one I haven't read for quite some time, We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I think I probably read this one about 8 or so years ago, so this has been a long time coming for a reread as well. And this is kind of a horror classic. You probably heard of The Haunting Hill House by her. I've actually never read that one, but I read this one and adored it. This is like an odd little short kind of Victorian feel, not Victorian, I don't know, it feels like very vintage horror. And in this, we are following this young girl who lives in this castle, and everyone else in her family is dead but her. And that's pretty much all you go into the book knowing, and I think that's probably about all you should know. This is a pretty bizarre one. I just remember it feeling like it didn't quite make sense or didn't feel logical, but as you probably know if you watch my channel, that is something that I love in books. Most of the time, not always, but I think this one did it well. I remember liking this a lot, so I can't wait to reread and see if this stands up to my current tastes in horror. And then last but not least on the rereads, I have Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Now, I have not read that many Stephen King books. I think I've read like maybe 3, and so there's like so many others I could choose to read for the first time. But honestly, I just really want to read Pet Sematary again. This was one of the first books I picked up when I was getting back into reading around like 2020, and I had never read or seen the movie, and I did not know the story, and this totally caught me off guard and made me fall in love with it. And yeah, I just remember being so entranced and obsessed with this book and the storyline and this atmosphere. I mean, if you don't know what this is about, we're following this family that moves into a new town, and they live next to a pet cemetery. Like, they live by the woods, and if you hike up a trail into the woods, there's this old, like, kind of foresty area where people in the town back in the day kind of would go and bury their pets in this place in the woods and put up, you know, like little wooden crosses and things like that. So already like a very kind of innocent yet spooky atmosphere to it. And then we're kind of following things that go along with the family from there. Don't want to give too much away, but I think this is incredible. And this has such a strong Halloween feeling to me and so much nostalgia for me, having originally read this around Halloween. And so I really can't wait to read this, and I really hope that it lives up to how much I remember loving it. But yeah, I think that this is gonna be a really fun reread for me. So hopefully I can get to this. All right, and then to go in a little bit of a different direction, I wanna talk about perfumes now. So over the past year, I've been getting super into perfume. It wasn't really something I was into at all before, but perfume talk has dug its claws in and gotten to me. And I've been so enjoying trying different perfumes for different seasons and kind of matching them up to like the vibe and the mood that I want to feel. So if you have any interest in that, I'm going to talk about the perfumes that I'm most excited to start wearing this fall, now that the weather is getting a little bit chilly and we can invoke some different moods instead of wearing all those summer perfumes, which aren't really my vibe. I like the fall perfumes for sure. So first up, we have TikTok's darling, I would say. This is Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana. And I remember this was like the first perfume I saw blow up on TikTok that got me interested in trying out different niche perfumes. And what can I say? It's honestly worth the hype in my opinion. I know there's also a lot of dupes now that you can get if you prefer to get something that is more in your budget. But this is fabulous. This is basically a like super strong vanilla, like way more vanilla-y than I would say most like designer perfumes you could find at like Sephora or Ulta smell. And it almost, like some people would say this could smell like kind of childish, but I think it has like this kind of muskiness to it, and it to me smells like, I don't even know how to describe it. At this point I've had this perfume for over a year, so this definitely has like some memories for me, and I've worn this quite a lot. But it smells like a cozy, sexy cupcake, and this is like a super strong, mega performing perfume, which isn't always the best for me. I definitely get headaches easily and stuff like that, so I'll try to just like wear a tiny bit. But this has gotten me a ton of compliments too. So if you want to smell like a cozy, sexy cupcake, then I would definitely recommend Bianco Latte. Then I have You Doux by Glossier, and this is one of the flankers to Glossier's You that came out last year. And I have actually never even smelled the original You, I don't think, but I know it's supposed to be like a skin scent, and so like very close to the skin, kind of quiet smell. And You Doux is close to the skin as well, I would say, but it has a very strong woody aspect to it. Yeah, ooh. So it's like kind of slightly sweet. I think there's violet in here, and it's very woody and like a tiny bit incensey. I think there's frankincense in here. And it smells just so much like fall and winter to me. I got this for Christmas last year and wore it like all through winter. And it just smells so cozy and honestly like very classy, I would say. It kind of smells like your favorite sweater, and being like wrapped up and cozy, but also you could like wear this to the office and stuff like that. It's very like light and inoffensive, and it's honestly a favorite of mine. Then I have another one that went kind of viral online last year. This is Heal the Way by Snif, and this is like a collaboration with a writer, I believe. And this one is a pistachio scent, but it's definitely a very fall winter pistachio. So if you've ever smelled Sol de Janeiro 62, I think it's number 62, the like classic pistachio one, that pistachio is like extremely summery to me. I don't know how to explain it, but like I could not wear that in the fall. It smells almost like sunscreen and pistachios to me. This is definitely like the fall counterpart. So it's like extremely sweet. So if you don't like sweet, to me this is almost sweeter than Bianco Latte. Don't know why, but something about it, it's like pistachio, whipped cream, and frosting almost. And then I think there's also Palo Santo and Dorada in here, so it's supposed to be a little woody and green in the base, but I can see that like in the base it's like slightly woody maybe, but I would say like very much kind of a pistachio frostinginess to it to me. But it's very sweet and cozy and nutty and warm. Then I have some samples to talk about. I ordered samples from both Lucky Scent and Scent Split before, and they both work great, so I would recommend either of those websites. Starting off with an indie perfume, I have Snow Moon Magic by Sorce. So this is like an independent perfume house that I believe is located in like one of the Carolinas or something. It's somewhere in the US, like in the South, I'm pretty sure. And they have a lot of fun perfumes on their site. It's like very kind of witchy vibes. And this one really caught my attention, and people were talking about this a ton online. It's supposed to smell like a cozy kind of cookie, and I think also like lavender and marshmallow and chai. So just like super gourmand and cozy. And that is definitely this. I would say, to me, the way that these notes combine to me really strongly reminds me of an oatmeal cookie, which is like very odd and specific, but it is very cozy. And I like wearing this sample a lot. I don't know yet if I would upgrade to a full bottle, but I love having this like little 2 milliliter sample. And I like to wear this sometimes like when I'm just like on the couch reading or watching TV or before bed. I don't think this is one I would necessarily wear out, but I love it for like a cozy feeling at home. Then I have Gris Charnel by BDK Perfume, and you can tell I have like, well, maybe you can't, but I have like almost nothing that left in here. I've had this sample since last year and really wanted to upgrade it come fall. This is a tea and fig scent, and it also has cardamom. So it's like fresh, spicy, and warm, and then it has a little bit of tonka in the base, so it eventually kind of gets sweet as well. And I would say it's definitely unisex, but I think that, yeah, it would wear lovely on a man or a woman, and I think it's so warm and kind of sexy in a way as well. And yeah, like cozy and sexy at the same time. However, I've recently learned that Latte, like a Middle Eastern perfume house, makes Liam, which is apparently supposed to smell like nearly identical to this and is far, far cheaper. So I will probably actually just be ordering Liam. I've also like heard some things about the perfume owner of this perfume house that I don't love. So while I recommend the scent, I personally am probably gonna go for Latte Liam when I order a full size instead of Gris Charnel. Then super recently, I just ordered a couple new samples, and I have 2 favorites so far out of those for fall. This one is La Danza del Labello. I don't know if that's how you say it. People just refer to this as La Danza a lot, and this is by Nobile 1942. And this is an apple perfume. I love the smell of apple. I think it's amazing. And this is a really unique one that I think could be worn across different seasons, because while it is like a cinnamon apple, it's also incredibly fresh. I would say, to me, this really strongly smells like apple shampoo and like vanilla ice cream with cinnamon on it, which sounds really strange, but it smells like divine on. Like, I can't stop sniffing my wrist when I put this on. So I really want to get a full bottle of this soon. And then last but not least, we have Remember Me by Jovoy Paris. And this is very much a chai tea scent. So it's gingery, spicy, pretty bright in the opening. There's some citruses, I think, and then kind of dries down to like a vanilla tea that's kind of milky. So this one's super warm and cozy as well. All right, well, thank you so much everyone for watching. I would love to hear down below what books you're planning to read this fall. And also, if you have any perfumes you're excited about wearing, I would love to hear about that as well. So please let me know, and I will see you all in the next one. Happy fall!